That's preaching. He preaches on Sunday morning when he preaches.
You sleeping?
Huh?
Bro, sleeping most of it.
Well,
I can help that. No cold water on you.
we'll just bring a spray bottle every time he falls asleep. Let's go ahead and spray him with it. Well, I will give you what I've been studying on. And though I say to me it's a bit short, if you got your Bibles, open up to 2 Chronicles, chapter 20. All right. We going old school, Old Testament, Chronicles of the Kings. 2 Chronicles. Right around my Bible, that's page 593. I don't know about y'all.
2 Chronicles what?
Chapter 20. I'll give y'all a minute because that's one of the fun ones to find. Right. 2 Chronicles chapter 20. I'm going to read you a few little verses and we'll go over it and see what the Lord leads on it. So it came to pass after this also that the children of Moab and the children of Ammon, with them others besides the Ammonites, came against Jehoshaphat to battle. Then there came some that told Jehoshaphat, saying, There cometh a great multitude against thee from beyond the sea on the side Syria, and behold, they be in Hazazon Tamar, which is Engedi. I can't pronounce that, but let's pray. I like the Chronicles of Kings. Jehoshaphat was the king over Israel. Now Jehoshaphat had they came to him and they came a warning. There's a great multitude coming. We got the children of Moab, we got the children of Ammon, all the Ammonites and a bunch of others besides them. They're coming across the sea. They're everyone coming to war against you. He had problems coming against you. I want y'all to think about yourselves for a second. How many here has troubles today? Me. I got troubles. I got problems. I don't care what the problems are that you have. It could be anything. You can have sickness coming right on you, you know. You got sickness coming on you. You got anger issues. That's me. I work in a public. Come on. We have anger. We have anger problems. We have lost family members. We have family members on drugs. We have people we know on drugs. We have financial crisis coming against us. We have co-workers trying to destroy us. We've got all these problems. But where do you turn? You get sick. I mean, how sick you got to be? A lot of people in the town anymore said you get a sniffle and they're heading straight to the doctor. Said you get real bad sick, you're heading straight to the ER first thought. I need to go find out what this is, what it is. They give you a diagnosis. You start searching the internet. What can I do? What's treatments? What things I can do to alleviate this? What's all this? You have financial problems. You start going through everybody in your family. Hey, man, I got some problems. Is there any way you can loan me some money? Can I sell some stuff? You go to pawn shops. You start selling things. Said you got people coming against you, your neighbors. You're having spats and arguments. Boy, you ready to call the cops on them. That's a family reunion right there. Just call the cops. So you call lawyers, you go everywhere for your problems. And when all else has failed, then they turn to God. Then they turn to God. I mean, if you look at the story of the little widow woman, now her faith made her whole. And her faith, she pushed through a crowd of, I'm estimating, over 5,000 men, not count women and children, enthralled Jesus, was all about it. She pushed her way through because she knew if she could touch the hem of the garment, that she could be healed. But her first thought on this was not to seek God. Her first thought was to waste her entire fortune, to waste everything she had, seeking every medical advice from every faith healer. every medicine peddler, everything they could do, she sought after first, and God was her last resort.
Yeah.
Come on, God.
But in our life today, how often is God our last resort?
Come on, yeah.
What did Jehoshaphat do? What did Jehoshaphat do when they came to him and said, we got all these armies coming against us. They're all coming to war with you. They're coming to destroy Israel. These people decided, we're going to go to Israel. We're going to walk a mud hole in you and then walk it dry. Is what their plan was for Israel. They wanted to destroy them outright, completely and utterly. And Jehoshaphat heard it. His first thought wasn't call together the war council. It wasn't, hey, let's call in any of our friends from the foreign nations. Let's go send a message and have them come and fight with us. It wasn't even to call a parlay to go and to negotiate peace with them. The first thing he did was look and go, call everybody together at the temple. We got to go see God.
Yeah.
He called everybody in, told them, said, put on your sackcloth, start fasting. We got to seek God on this. We have to find out how God is going to help us. That was his first thought. God was not his last resort. He didn't go in and fight to almost the bitter end and then call on God, rescue us now. His first thought was, we need to seek God.
Yeah.
And he's not the only one. Read through the Old Testament a lot. A lot of these people get in some situations. A lot of times, it can be one of our own making. Jacob. Jacob was in a situation of his own making. He was returning home with his family. It's been the first time in years he's been there, and he heard his brothers coming to meet him. And he thought for a minute, uh-oh. Because he done some wrong to his brother. He done a lot of wrong to his brother. He stole his birthright for a bowl of soup. He went in and stole the blessing by acting like him. He cheated him out of a lot of stuff, and he knew his brother was angry.
Yeah.
He knew his brother, and this was something of his own making. Now, this church will tell you, sometimes we can get ourselves into something, but it's knowing who to go to. So what was the first thing he did? He didn't decide, well, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then maybe we can go around this way. He looked and said, okay, my brother's coming. Y'all go over there. I'm going over this creek here, and I'm going to seek God because I need his help right now. And he wrestled with God. A lot of people will tell you there was an angel come down. That was the angel of the Lord. And that was Jesus, because when he asked him his name, he said, who are you? He said, why do you ask my name? God, Jesus was always there, and he would never give his name because there wasn't time for the world to know. Jesus came down and wrestled this man. And this man knew he had to seek God, and had to seek him with his whole heart. And he wrestled him all night to receive a blessing from him.
Yeah.
He wrestled him all night. He refused to give up because he knew the one place he could turn. He knew it wasn't in his camp. He knew it wasn't in his servants to deliver him from his brother. He knew it wasn't in his wives or in his children. He knew it wasn't in his riches. He knew it wasn't in any of the friends he made on his journey. He knew who to turn to for his problems, and that was God.
Amen.
David knew who to turn to. David knew when he stood before Goliath. Goliath said, am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? David knew. All the rest of the men cowered because they were in self. They were scared of this somewhere between 8 and 13-foot giant. He was a huge man, a man of war, born and bred for one purpose only, and that was fighting. People were terrified because they were in their self. How am I going to defeat him? David didn't worry about that. David turned to the one person who could go before him. He said, I come at you with the power of the Almighty. He knew it wasn't the rocks in his sling that was going to take down the giant. He knew it wasn't the sword that ultimately cut his head off. He knew it was God, and he turned to God. He said, is God not strong enough to deliver?
Come on, yeah.
And when he was encamped in amongst the Philistine people, and he went and they had ransacked and taken all the children and all the women and all the gold and ran off with it, the first thing he did was turn to God and go, Lord, do we pursue?
Yeah.
And God said, pursue and get it back. He knew who to turn to. And I'm going to tell you right now, Jehoshaphat knew who to turn to. Jehoshaphat knew who to turn to. The first thought of him was, we need to seek God. Have y'all read the story of Jehoshaphat? Do you know how that war was won? That war was won and Israel didn't even have to pull a sword. God told him, said, why are you worried? The battle ain't yours, it's mine. Send in your musicians. They won that with harps and lyres and tambourines and singing and horns. They went in and singing and praising. I'll be honest with you, I don't think a single one of them packed a sword. They just wandered on in and they were singing praises to God. And God sent confusion into the enemy camp and they started fighting each other. They thought they were fighting the Israelites. They fought each other and killed themselves to the very last man. And Israel walked in and had to pick up the spoils. That right there, that's how God will deliver. If you turn to Him first at some point, it may not be directly. See, Israel still had to go into war. They still had to put on their armor. They might not have packed weapons. I don't know if they did, but they still had to put on their armor. And they still had to go out to the battlefield. But when they walked in, it was not immediate. He did not strike down the enemy. But He told them, He said, go on in and I'll ensure your victory. And victory was there before they arrived. Paul knew who to turn to. Boy, Paul. I like telling that story. So Paul was on his way to Damascus. When he was Saul, he was on his way to Damascus to slaughter some Christians. And God came and knocked him off his high horse. Literally.
Yeah.
But Paul, when he turned to Jesus after the first time, he knew who to turn to for the rest of them. And they was on a little island. They was transporting him. They were transporting him to Rome. And he told them, he said, guys, it's a bad idea that we should go now. We should camp here for the winter and then go in the spring. And they said, no, we're going now. And Paul knew something was wrong, so the very first thing he did is anybody with him, they went to a fast. They sought the face of the Lord because Paul knew something was wrong. And when the storm came and the tempest blew and the ship was about to capsize, God spoke to him and said, eat up, Paul. You're going to need some strength here in about 5 minutes. I'm going to deliver everybody on this boat. Amen. And while everybody was terrified, Paul walked up and said, fret not. We're all going to swim to that island and we're going to be fine. Because Paul knew who to turn to first. Paul didn't turn to reason and try to reason with the captain. Paul didn't try to reason with the other people to tell them maybe you shouldn't go out, and the people on the docks and the other sailors to give them warning. Paul knew who to turn to first. God, I don't think this is a good idea. What should we do? And God said, eat up and get your strength. We're going to need you to swim here in a minute. But he knew who to turn to. Amen. And that's a little story right there to show you. It's not going to be completely easy. Just because he knew who to turn to didn't mean he didn't have to swim.
Yeah.
That water didn't stop and go calm just because they got out the boat and swam to the ocean, swam to the beach. They still had to swim through the rains and through the wind and through the waves. But he knew who to turn to, and God made sure everybody on that boat got to that island. But we don't do this. Boy, I throw my back out. My first thought is, oh, my back. Where's those things that the doctors prescribed me for my? I got slip disc in my back, and I goes out and catch it. And they gave me some nice little pills for my back. So when your back goes out, just take a couple of these. It'll ease it off, and it'll take the inflammation down, and it'll let that disc slide back in. I throw my back out. My first thought's, where's my pills that the doctors gave me? Where are they at? I don't turn to God and go, God, you're gonna have to help me. I just threw my back out, but I should. When you get the flu, the first thought you should think is, Lord, you're going to have to get me through this sickness. Because it ain't a doctor going to do it. You might think the doctor, I ain't knocking medicine. I mean, I think, was it Timothy or Luke that was a doctor? Luke, what in here, Luke? I mean, he had doctors and he had healers. But you need to go to God first. Go to the Lord. Seek ye the Lord. What did Jesus say? Seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and all things shall be added to you. Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. We got to do like Jehoshaphat does. And I don't know about you. He pushed back his plate, and he's covered himself in sackcloth. He wasn't worried about, I'm going to go watch some TV and not think about it. He didn't say, well, I'm going to go over here and bury my nose in my book like I do all too often. I'm putting my headphones in, listen to music, and try to figure something out. Let my mind calm down so I can figure my way out. If you do it like Jehoshaphat does, you turn to God first. Okay, I've got a problem. And God, you're the only one that can answer it. And Jehoshaphat pushed his plate away. Now, it wouldn't hurt me to miss a few meals, I know. But spiritually, it wouldn't hurt any of us to miss a few.
Amen. Come on.
To take away the temptation, show God, Lord, you are more important than this meal. You are more important than this bologna sandwich I'm about to eat. Because I like my bologna sandwiches, don't get me wrong. But you're more important than this. You're more important than that trip up there to Pekins. You're more important than this Coca-Cola I'm about to drink. You're more important than that ball game's coming on. You're more important than that TV show that I've got recorded. You're more important than the end of that book that I've been reading on for 3 weeks. You're more important than me going and spending time with my friends at the park. You're more important to me than anything else, and I need your help. So me and you are going to get down, and we're going to find each other, and you're going to give me some direction, because I don't know what to do from here. Because I don't know about y'all, but I don't know what to do. Left to my own devices, I will end up lost. In more ways than one, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. Left to my own devices, because I can't do it. Jehoshaphat couldn't do it. Jehoshaphat could not figure his way out. He knew with all these armies, destruction is upon us, and the only one that can deliver is the Lord. So he called them out, and he called everybody, and they fasted and they prayed. It says, and Jehoshaphat stood in the congregation of Judah and Jerusalem in the house of the Lord before the new court. He went straight to the house of the Lord. Let's see. And God told him, "You shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves. Stand ye still, and see the salvation of the Lord with you. O Judah and Jerusalem, fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, for the Lord will be with you." Yes. With you, Lord. Fear not, and see the salvation of the Lord. Just stand. You know, a lot of times we get in our own way. Sometimes the biggest problem of why God won't move on a situation is we won't let it go. It's kind of hard for you telling God, take this problem from me, and you got that G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip going on it. Won't let it go. Take it away from me, Lord. Let it go. They had to let go of their problems. They had to let it go and say, Lord, it's yours. That's what Jehoshaphat did. He fell on his face. He did like David did when David sought the Lord. David was a king and had comfort. Jehoshaphat was a king and he had comfort. He could have slept in a bed of feathers, or whatever they stuffed their beds with back in those days. He could have had this big comfort. They live in a desert environment. Could have people standing around him, fanning him, and keeping him cool all night. Could have had all this comfort. No, he turned around. He threw on sackcloth. He went to the house of the Lord. He threw himself prostrate on there and said, I ain't moving until I get an answer. And everybody in this kingdom is going to join in with me. We are going to seek the Lord until the Lord speaks. And if we want revival, that's what we're going to have to do. It's not just me. He said, but every one of us here are going to have to join in together. We're going to throw ourselves in. We ain't giving up. Lord, we ain't giving up on our families. I ain't giving up on my daddy. I ain't giving up on my cousins. I ain't giving up on my co-workers. I ain't giving up on your children. I ain't giving up on none of them, Lord. And I can't do it. So I'm going to seek you until you do. Until you tell us how it's going to be done. Until the Lord answers me the same way. And says, stand yourselves. Stand and be still and see the salvation of the Lord. We need to seek him together, not just Joshua. It can't be just Joe. Joe is the pastor of this church, but we can't throw that responsibility on him for him alone to seek the Lord for all of us. It is our job as a family, as the church, as the congregation of the Lord to bind together like they did in the upper room in one mind and one accord to seek God first on behalf of our family. Not try to figure out how to reason to them. Let me read this and let me figure out how I can throw some facts at them. Or if they're in drugs, let me give them some statistics and show them some ways of rehab. It is our job to bind together as a family. If you've got a problem, you come to me and say, we need to work on this together. And we get the prayer chain going. Oh, you need to pray for so-and-so. And this is, I can't tell you what's going on, but let's bind together. And let's come together like they did right here. Yeah. And when the high priest got the message, he said, stand and see the salvation of the Lord. And only when we put God first in our lives, only when we put God first and seek him first, rather than the worldly ways, and push away the world so that we can draw closer, will we hear this?
Come on.
Yep.
That's all I got. That's all I got for y'all. Anybody got anything else I'd like to add? Daryl, you want Mac? What about you, Joe? You James, got something you like to throw in? If not, seek ye the face of God. Go find a place.